Having rewatched parts of The Thing in preparation for this response, and taking your observations into account, I am all but certain that Blair was an imitation when he sabotaged the camp's vehicles and communications equipment. I resisted this idea for a while because I couldn't understand why the Thing would want to cut the camp off from civilization. It wanted the rescue team to come so it could be taken back. Then it struck me. What if the goal behind the sabotage was not to cut the camp off from everyone else, but to provide cover so another imitation could wreck the blood supply and return the keys unnoticed? Minutes after Bennings is attacked, he is cornered by Mac, Windows, and Fuchs, all of whom are joined by Copper, Knowles, Norris, Childs, Gary, and Palmer. Which leads me to postulate that Blair was the one who got hold of the keys and stashed them somewhere for another imitation to take and use on the blood supply. I don't think Blair did it himself because the blood could only have been compromised a short time before he was boarded up, as we can see with a fresh and spreading puddle beneath the cooling unit, which makes me doubt that he could have done it before wrecking the chopper and tractors. That and someone had to be free to slip the keys back into Gary's possession. As I watched the destruction of the radio equipment, I kept an eye out for anyone missing at that particular moment, and what do you know, Palmer isn't anywhere to be seen. Much later, the movie seems to bolster this during the blood test scene when, after a dead copper is cleared by the test, Mac insists that it had to have been Gary who sabotaged the blood, only in the next second to be confronted by a revealed Palmer. The timing of the discourse, the mention of the blood supply for the last time in the film, seems to indicate that the movie itself is contradicting Mac, and ironically, with his own test. I agree with your analysis, and to add some additional points, in the pan shot where we see the entryway where Childs was last standing guard, not only is the door wide open, but there is a significant amount of snow accumulation, suggesting that some time has passed since Childs was attacked. We know Childs hadn't left yet, because in the very next scene, Mac and Gary are preparing a bundle of dynamite in the tool shed. It's Knowles standing guard at the door who sees them leave. Some questions, though. If Blair did attack Childs from inside, how did he get in? About 45 minutes to an hour before, Childs ordered everyone to board up all the entrances and exits to the compound. There are three possibilities. 1. The men simply didn't have time to board up all the doors before Mac broke in. This is the case in one particular, the door where Mac tries to get back in, and later where Childs is standing guard. This is possible, but it seems to me not very likely, because after everyone inside has been tested, there's nothing stopping them from boarding up all but one of the entrances. This would make sense because it would mean that Childs wouldn't have to worry about being attacked from behind, or so they thought. 2. We know at that point Norris and Palmer are imitations. It's possible that one or maybe both of them deliberately left a way for Blair to get in, either by making a door look boarded up that was actually still accessible, unlatching a window, or some other way they just improvised. 3. Blair just forced his way in, perhaps at the opposite end of the camp where Childs couldn't hear him. I think it was Blair who passed Fuchs in the hallway and who planted the evidence against McCready in both instances. Why not? If Blair was an imitation for most or all of the time that he was supposed to be locked up in the tool shed, then he would have been free to roam about gathering parts for the spacecraft and collecting a spare set of clothes from Mac's shack to rip up and plant. Maybe he went into the lab for parts, a couple of fuses say, and saw the opportunity to lure Fuchs out to find the shredded clothes. I don't think the Thing intended to attack Fuchs. If it was going to imitate him, then why plant the clothes at all? The same if it were just going to kill him. No, likely intended for Fuchs to go right back inside and try to meet up with the other team members so he could tell them what he found. But, maybe, Fuchs didn't want to go back into the lab, fearing the Thing was lurking in there waiting for him, but instead decided to go around and come in a different way. Perhaps the way he took had him pass close by the tool shed. Maybe he noticed that the door to the tool shed was open. Maybe Blair noticed him noticing, and realized that his cover was blown if Fuchs, as a human, got back with the other men. So he tried to assimilate him, but Fuchs tried to fend him off with the flare. There was a struggle, and Fuchs ended up being set on fire. I would like to congratulate you on a very well done analysis, which made me rethink a few of my conceptions about a film which I have seen countless times.